So now we've done that, you want to start soloing over. So you want to try these little tactics that I've showed you, and actually practically try doing it over backing tracks that are in the easy keys, so the key of C and the key of G, and then why not try it over real songs in those keys and just see how it goes. Seen as with the major scale and the things I've talked about so far, I've been really scale based and knowing the notes of the scale. How can we make a scale sound like improvisation? How can we make this major scale come to life a little bit more over these diatonic chords? Well, I've got a little bit of a 5 points to help you out on that. So it starts off with, you've just got to do it. You've just got to play. If all you know is the scale, just play the scale of the key. So if we're in the key of C, just play the C major scale, either here or here, in scale order over your backing track. The great thing about lead guitar is rhythm. You don't have to be in time with the rhythm track or the backing track at all for it to still work, because the lead guitar can stop, it can pause, there can be gaps. It doesn't have to be on the beat. It can be what we call syncopated, so off beat, and it will still work. So it's a very safe thing to try. The weird thing is you won't have that confidence to try and make it really sound like a melody, but starting off just biting the bullet and having a go is definitely the place to start. To make your scale sound more like a melody, play through 3, 4 or 5 notes and then stop on one of those notes. So 1, 2, 3, 4. Then turn around and come back down by 2 notes or more, go back to the start, and then go through again. I've missed a couple of notes out there. It can be very good in the beginning not to miss any notes out, especially if you're still learning the scale. It's a very good idea to go in scale order. But straight away you can hear there, we're sounding more like a melody rather than sounding like a scale all the time when I play guitar. You know what I mean? It sounds a bit more to life. So forward 5 notes, pause, stop on that note, maybe have a bit of silence, and then maybe start from somewhere else in the scale, you know, from the middle octave or the higher octave. Starts to sound more like a melody. We're coming up to Christmas now, and well, in 100 days or something, and one of the first songs I spotted that used this, that helped me a lot, was the first Noel. You can finish off the rest of your melody in the mind. I don't want to play Christmas songs yet for bad luck or anything like that, but they do go in scale order. That's what songs do, but with pauses and going forward and coming back down the same set of notes, like snakes and ladders, really. Again, going forward and going back with pauses is good, but make sure another point is change the rhythm. So sometimes you can even just stay on one note. So if they've got this going in the rhythm, maybe just going for that octave. Maybe that could be my lead line. Just one note, like a one-note guitar solo. Played to an interesting rhythm over the top of a chord sequence. Make sure people don't pay enough attention to the rhythm typically when they're learning to improvise. It's like the most important thing. It's just super, super helpful. What else do we have? Above all, just keep going. It's odds on that you will be new to this and it will feel very strange and weird, especially if you don't have a teacher or a buddy who plays guitar to sort of point you in the right direction with things and encourage you to keep going. So I encourage you, just keep going, just try it. It will happen for you. And they're my tips on how to get started with improvising, I guess. Cool. So the next thing is a couple of common pitfalls or things to watch out for when you're starting to do major sounding solos. This kind of thing is there is this focus more on melody rather than on licks. And if you've learnt any blues type solos, this kind of thing, or as I say, it's that kind of Chuck Berry minor pentatonic stuff in the past. I've got a lot of lessons coming on that soon. It's going to be really cool. From November, all this kind of thing, there's going to be hundreds of lessons on it. But for this major scale sounding stuff, or if we're in the key of G, for that kind of thing, there's more of an emphasis on melody, which is tougher. And you have to have plenty of song examples in the key that you're in to learn what they do. You know, there's loads on my site. We have this whole lead guitar section of my site, which I feel not enough people are utilizing, because there's so many of these kind of major scale melodies on there, as well as some bluesy stuff as well. But when you're improvising over the major chords in like the key of C, for example, or the diatonic chords in the key of C, it's more melody based than licks based. You're not trying to be flash, you're trying to it's almost like adding a color or adding a theme to what's happening. So think about it like that. And the other thing is, make sure you're doing it over the diatonic chords, say in the key of C. So I've got a couple of lessons on keys now, couple in the beginner's course. I think it's level 5, could even be lesson 4 or 5 of the beginner's course. I'll try and link it after this live stream. Yes, knowing what key you're in and all that kind of thing. And if the chords in your key are more based on the minor pentatonic, then it's the minor pentatonic and lead licks that are going to work over that. There is a blend, which I talked about in my live workshop. There is a blend that we can do between the two. Early Beatles, kind of rock and roll style Beatles, where they're mixing the Chuck Berry riffs, but also with like all the standard open chord basic pop song stuff, is a really good example, that the early Beatles stuff. Guitar teachers, where would we be without the Beatles, Oasis and Led Zeppelin and things? You know, they are just great examples of it. They're the common pitfalls of it. And of course we want to be able to change key with all this. So I've just showed you and talked a lot about, and we're coming to the end now, so make any questions you have about all this stuff. I'm about to look at your comments live. So look out, and make sure you get them in now. But this is us in the key of C. We start from 8th fret. If I want to be in the key of B, I just move everything that I know but start from the B note. The great thing is it would sound the same and feel the same. Kind of thing. If it happens to be A sharp, you start from the A, and then the 1, 2, 3, 4, 5 thing that we looked at earlier. And we look at the key of C so much because, you know, it's just in alphabetical order, C, D, E, F, G, etc. But once you know that, and once you're playing in position 1 rather than open position, you move it wherever you want, and you don't have to know the letter names because it sounds the same relative to the 1. And that is a bit of a brief lowdown of how to play lead acoustic guitar in these major keys, the key of C, the key of G, the key of D. You know, how do you play lead guitar over this sort of stuff? This just doesn't work over this. There's a real note turbulence that happens. That sort of, I explained it to my students on the other night. That's what sort of major scale harmony sounds like. And then if we play minor note over that, we get this note turbulence that sounds really bad. You know, when they're played at the same time, it's a dissonance that isn't fun. So yes, there are those two different schools of guitar. This has all been about the major scale stuff. Get your questions in now. I'm going to be answering them live. Here we go.